all that.
With receipts at all times. Because
With
there's one thing she was going to have was receipts.
And he was leaving them.
I did.
So excited.
Y'all.
All right.
So excited. Welcome to an unhinged bonus episode.
I'm so glad you watched Couples Therapy finally, because now we could go back. We could go back each season, because each season is so much. Like, I love this show so much. So Shayna finally got to watch season 5, the latest season of Couples Therapy, which is on Showtime / Paramount Plus / I'm sure you could purchase it or whatever. But always a great show. So we're going to go over our recap and our notes of this season, couple by couple.
Yes.
Shayna, notes, I do have slides of the couples. Just for our like visual aids.
Okay. Fantastic. Yes.
I'm gonna see what's the best way that I should do this, because it might actually be better if we shared our screen and just like looked at the people. We could describe it. If you're listening via audio, yeah. If if you're listening audio, this is best experience by video. You could subscribe to our Patreon to see this early, as folks on Patreon get to see this a day early. And then on YouTube. So two ways to watch. Make sure if you go to YouTube, you subscribe and like the video.
Please.
Great. So they don't have, the thing about Couples Therapy is they never have a picture of all them together. So I'm going to go.
Yes, because
it's going to be the best way.
Because rules. I was like, it's like you're still following
HIPAA,
is but you're like not following HIPAA.
Yeah.
Like
it's very true. And that's actually why I like the show. It's very real.
Yeah,
it's
like,
a very real show. So.
There's a lot of permission that has to be given to get on the show and do like your couples therapy things. So
yes, you're right. And to set that table a little bit too, this does follow. Let me get Orna's full name here. I had put it somewhere. I probably am actually not going to be able to pronounce it correctly, but they follow these couples for over 6 months. So it's not, it's not just so. Quick. It is a kind of full cycle of you see things change over time. But Orna herself is Orna Grolnick is a faculty member at NYU postdoctoral program in psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. So this is 4 couples over the course of 6 months, and is weekly treatment by Orna. In addition to seeing these different couples that we'll show in a second, Orna goes to what's interlaced in here and kind of like the supporting cast of Couples Therapy is that Orna actually goes to weekly clinical like consultation meetings and peer meetings with other therapists to talk about the cases and just making sure she's seeking different help and different insights to help these couples. And then she also goes to see Dr. Virginia Goldner, who is her, I guess, I don't know, it's her sensei in my mind, but she always goes to see her too. Basically separately, and they have a one-on-one. And then she also talks again to a peer group of other therapists, and that's kind of interlaced between like the B-roll that you'll see of these couples and everything else that goes on. So Shayna, I'm going to send you this link, and we're going to do it like, I guess streamer way. It might be the best way to do it, by just sharing our screen and changing the layout. But this article has all of the casts so that we can see who we're talking about and who we have these notes for. I'm so excited for your notes.
I am okay. When I talk,
it's a book
for those listening.
Okay, a leather bound. This is a
notebook. I wrote down my notes on these couples because I knew I was going to get stuff mixed up, and there was so much that happened. Honestly, Orna needed to go and see all of those support systems because of the things that came up in these sessions. I said, "Good job, Orna, for showing the resources, doing the things," and I appreciate you for that. So we're gonna dive into this. We're gonna talk about the things. So we got Orna right there. That's our girl.
We have Sienna and Chris are up first.
Sienna and Chris.
I know they've been married for a number of years. Let me pull up my notes here, and just kind of this high level of them. Sienna and Chris have been married for 13 years. They kind of moved like lesbians. So they married 6 months after
No, for real.
meeting, had kids 6 months after that, but they went to the same like high school area, like same high school. They're actually Bay Area kind of based, but they went to the same high school and then reconnected later, I think in New York. But married 13 years, moved very quickly, very lesbian like. Whew. I mean,
3 kids.
they're 3 kids. Their initial surface problem is that they're trying to make it back from Chris cheated in the relationship, and he actually cheated with professional cuddler girls or women. No, I don't want to say girls, but
Also
women. So
very lesbian.
very lesbian. Actually, that is very
Like
lesbian.
that, the way that he
lesbian
cheated
coded.
was also incredibly lesbian.
It was because it wasn't just like met somebody at the bar thing. Like Sienna did not know he was going to, these professional cuddler centers, parlors, or whatever, where there. And I know that's a real thing globally, where you could cuddle with people for the right amount of money. But yeah, he ended up cheating with a couple of them. I think it's like at least 2 people. Like he didn't just cheat once.
Yeah,
He
no,
did it a
there
couple
was
times.
there was a threesome involved.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Pull
A lot
up my
going
notes
on.
here. There's threesome
With that.
involved in this. Yep.
I know Sienna said after finding this out, she had to go to a outpatient program because she had like a breakdown for 3 months after this. So this is, obviously shadowed their world. They have a fun, playful chemistry about them as a couple, but very, very, very serious things that they get into quickly, which is, number one, the cheating and having to go to patient surgery. But initially, in just like first impressions of the first couple of episodes of this, it was like Chris, we learned so much about Chris, like immediately.
So much.
Very much so. Where Sienna is a little bit guarded in the later episodes, we definitely learn more about her. But everything with this show and with what people know kind of about therapy and all this, it's the childhoods, man. And Chris's childhood was the most unhinged of this season, for sure, with his upbringing and his very abusive mother in many ways. So that immediately they kind of get into his upbringing and his mom being abusive. What were your initial thoughts of like the first couple of episodes of them setting up? And by the way, these episodes are like 30 minutes long, so they're not long episodes. They get to
Not
it.
long. Yes. Do you want me to keep these folks up, or you want to go in between?
Yeah, I wanted to get your first
sharing?
impressions of what you.
No,
thought
I'm
of
talking
Sienna
about
and
for the
Chris.
screen. I'm talking for the
Oh
screen.
yeah, keep it
Like,
up.
Do you want
Yeah,
me to keep
yeah,
sharing?
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, we'll keep
Cool.
it up.
Cool. First of all, I had such a deep discomfort with Chris as soon as we started this. Such
very
a
frantic.
deep discomfort. The way that we had to bounce all over the place, I knew we were only getting blips of their sessions. I said, Orna, girl, Sienna, girl, get out of the house. Get out, take the kids, go, get out. Like that was my first impression. But it was also interesting to see how patient Sienna was with Chris. It felt like he was reverting back to his childlike state and she was the parent in the situation at the beginning.
Yeah. Yep.
And I felt very icky about it because of that dynamic. It was like Sienna has to hold it down because
Yeah.
Chris got some problems, and it's not by any means Chris's fault. Like
Yeah.
mama
like you pick
did,
up on
mama
that immediately. It's
yes,
oh,
like you
yes.
could tell. I was
some
like, there's a
things.
lot of mommy issues in here, and that was the first thing. I was like, the mommy. I said the
Yeah.
mommy issues was
You're
the
like,
first
"It's the
line on
mom."
the page that I said, and I
You're like, it's the
also
mother.
it's mother. I
the
also
mother.
talked about how one of my notes said that his stories are what Law and Order SVU episodes are made of.
Yeah. 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 A couple of those are just like, oh wow, because the thing with his mother and just his upbringing, for folks like his mom didn't clearly want kids. His mom met his father who was the president of like Levi's Strauss out here in San Francisco. They got together. The dad wanted children. She got pregnant for him. And early on in his childhood, I think maybe 7 or 8, his father had a massive stroke. Sorry. One very big step back that's important here. As soon as they had the baby, they arranged to have is it a Tongan family that they brought in? Like the mother, the dad, and the son that they basically paid to come over and live with them and take care of them. Because like the mom didn't want to do that. So he was primarily like raised or so close to the mother that took care of him, the Tongan family, that they just moved in to like help them do all this. So the dad has a massive stroke at when he was like 7 or 8. And his mom basically like breaks down completely after that, with having to, give care to his dad that's now, he lived for a while, but he was definitely like kind of incapacitated. Couldn't do anything after that. His mom, alcoholic, abusive every day, verbally abusive to him, sexually abusive, which they kind of get into later episodes of like him having to basically run away from her. He doesn't get into if anything actually physically happened, but she like very much wanted to see his private parts, like, and just would get drunk and just do every single night, by the way, doing this in his childhood, like getting drunk, yelling at him, being verbally abusive, and then it kind of turning to sexual abuse as well with how she was doing. And then like just that was the atmosphere of the home. So, and then the Tongan family that was there did their best to buffer it, but obviously you can only do so much. And then at a certain point, his father does pass away. I'm sorry, actually they break up, right? And then the father goes with the Tongan family, and then he has to live with his mom. So they break up. And then it gets even worse. So his childhood immediately, his energy is chaotic, which you picked up on, but like you go into his story pretty quickly in the first like 2-3 episodes of like, oh wow. And it gets kind of like progressively worse of what he experienced. Yes. So that is the backdrop where it's like, you do feel so bad for him and you like know immediately that's where he gets it from. But to Sienna's thing too, like, this nigga cheated like a couple times. So like there's still that, like she has to hold it down, like you said, but also knowing her husband, like she does have to like coddle the earlier episodes because of knowing where that's from. So it was, you just never know. People's childhoods be so fucked up, and his was very fucked up.
Very.
So
like
very.
Every time was a new layer, and I'm just like, how is this real? I asked myself, like, based on the trauma, because especially since it feels like he hasn't done the key things to address it. He hasn't done the therapeutic stuff to address it. I didn't know how Sienna felt safe in a house with him because of the opportunity for the chaos that could happen. Mm-hmm. Because he hasn't addressed this. It's like, hooray that he deep down is a good-hearted human and made it out that way. But that was my first thought, was I don't understand how she feels safe hearing all of these things and knowing that he hasn't fully addressed it either. Yeah. And so that was something that stressed me out in the first half of the season. We don't even really get to Sienna's trauma until like episode 6 or 7, and there's only 9 episodes. Yeah.
And she has to like pull that out too.
Hers.
Yeah.
Like hers is traumatic as well.
I know. Yes. We learned. So Sienna is biracial. She has like a Dutch mom and a black dad, and the dad leaves early on. She did grow up middle class ish and everything in the Bay Area, but her mom had no idea, had no cultural competence at all to be able to raise her. Like she said, she was bullied for most of her life. Her mom cut all of her hair off and kept it short. And so, she would go to ballet class. She would go and live in the predominantly white neighborhood that she was in, and she would just be relentlessly bullied for looking different. And, essentially her mom not being able to, which comes across just being culturally competent to understand how her hair is a different texture or what she could be going through as a biracial kid in that. So she was bullied. And then later on, we found out later in high school, or I believe college, she was sexually assaulted, and how she had to bury that and be this strong person and just really honestly disassociate from that feeling. Like she never wanted to feel that powerless again, as so many victims and survivors are. But like that shapes her their entire relationship. And even some of this, when they do this during couples therapy, you know, some of these couples know some of these things, but like they don't know everything. So even Chris is hearing some of these things for the first time and just can't, you know, just like, oh my God, like, you know, like, so it's so interesting on the show how our childhoods obviously shape us and how you still are, you know, become that in some ways, because Chris becomes his mom when he does get abusive and gets mad. She calls it like shark eyes or whatever, where his eyes just go black. He says, you know, gets very abusive, but also like how much they don't tell. Like you could be in a marriage or be around somebody for double-digit years and still not know these stories that are very pivotal and very important to know. So that's what comes out with them. So yeah. And over time, she kind of grows into knowing, like finding her voice and being like, I'm not okay. Like, I'm glad we're resolving this with your cheating and childhood, but like, I'm still very angry. Like, I'm angry that you're kind of like getting off scot-free. So she, you know, continues to grow throughout the season and opens up. So they are something. Chris's background obviously is kind of overshadows most of their stuff, but yeah, it gets deep. It gets deep.
Yeah.
Orna's hears some things. Orna will be like, Santa, tell me more about you and everything. And then it's just like, whoo, you know, it gets to it. So, woof. So, You want to go to the next couple? Let's see who's next. Who is next here?
Oh, boy. Drea and Nessa. Man,
the impetus for me being like, you got it. They always have queer couples. They always have queer couples on couples therapy, which I could appreciate. But the lesbians, man, where do you want to? Truly the lesbians. Here's the
thing. So Drea and Nessa have been together
like 20 years.
Basically since college.
So crazy. Yeah. Let's see.
Basically since college. Drea is like, Nessa is Drea's first.
Yeah. 20 years together, 11 married. They met at 19 and 22. Nessa is the older one, and she's the black one with the wicks. And Drea was, you know, so that, you know, not a huge age gap, but yes, as you mentioned, Drea, all the firsts with Nessa.
Everything. All of them. And that was very clear from the beginning. So they are married, they have kids. There's religious discussion. There's controlling discussion. There's Nessa is my everything discussion. And Drea literally came into this life with Nessa. Like everything that she did. Nessa was the person that got her on a plane, a train, an automobile. Nessa was the person that helped do everything. And all Nessa
introduced her to avocados.
Occasionally, introduced her to avocado.
like little things, guacamole. Like, wow.
And Nessa
wow.
is the person that like wants all of this freedom until Drea wants freedom. And then Nessa comes crawling back.
Yeah, they have a pattern. They have a cycle. Like though meeting at 19 and 22 and being together for 20 years, it's been very much on and off. So they date early on. Like Nessa introduces Drea to all these things, and she's happy to introduce her to all these things and all that. But then they ended up breaking up, and Nessa went and was doing her own thing, bought her own house and everything, and was dating other people, sleeping with other people. But she was still sleeping with Drea during that time too. So they ended up getting back together. And this was really interesting with Nessa because Nessa leaves so much out, which is so like very funny.
So like much out. The way that she tells the story is out of
crazy.
Control because she's just Nessa. Like the highest of high level. And I love when Drea taps in to be like, not how the story went. You're going to
Not how
forget.
it
And
went.
Nessa's just like, well, I didn't think that was really important. Like the moment that we're going to jump ahead a little bit, and then I'm going to let you go back and finish the recap. But when we jump ahead to the part, hold on, in my notes. Let me look at my notes.
Notes, yes, spill it. It's
When we
fine.
jump to the
This is
important
free
part
form.
that Nessa decided to go back to a man, she was
Why didn't
telling
it
a
just go
story in the
back?
middle of it, and it was just like, oh yeah, like we left, I was married to somebody else for a little bit, and Drea's like, wait a minute, you're gonna leave out the part that you were married to a man, and then we continued sleeping together your entire marriage. I just had to point that out. Like that's the level
Yes.
of delusion that Nessa has when she tells stories. She leaves out large details, the largest of large.
Huge details.
continue.
So yeah,
Please continue.
even leaving that out, and that even, I feel like the revelation about her being married came like episode 5, and you're right. Like Drea's like, the way she's telling this story is interesting. She's leaving out some very key points, and it's so funny. Like Orna reactions could be their own meme. Like Orna's like, you know what? Look at it
Because
possibly.
they're so subtle, but they say everything.
Yeah. And she was like, so it comes out that, she was married, but it was because of the religious pressure from her mom and her family. She has a West Indian background. So she was like, religion played such a big hand and everything. And she thought that she was supposed to, be with a man. So she broke up with Drea, marries this man for only a couple months. But during that time, she's still fucking Drea. And that's why it's a Jackie Hill Perry. Some of these people who, it just never goes away. So I don't know. Waste that man's time, waste her time being married. But during that time, like she doesn't stop messing with Drea. And that again speaks to the cycle of what they got going on. And even Drea being like, having some culpability and like having to get off the roller coaster at some point too. You know what I mean? Like I know Nessa put you on to a lot of things, but it's also like you gotta get like if that happened,
You got to
like
free
I'm
yourself.
like I'm not fucking with you. Like I'm not fucking with you while you're married to a man. Like while you figure your shit out and you gay as hell.
Yes.
You're married to a man talking about you can't be with women, but you're still fucking me. Like your religious journey in your way is not going the way you think. So that happens.
Also that.
And really it's
also-
just go ahead.
I felt like just to hone in on the sex part that you're talking about, that feels like the random impetus that would always get Drea back. It was always the sex part. It would be like Drea's going to announce, hey, I'm taking these like independent steps. And then it's like, hey, 24 to 48 hours after we made that big, bold statement, we had sex again. But then whenever Drea pushed for sex and Nessa didn't want to have sex, it would be, well, then Drea just wanted to put it on me. Like, what? But the moment that Drea would do something for herself, then Nessa would come climbing back over like, hey, but don't you want to have sex? And Drea has admitted that she is horny all the time. She's a horny human. So when that's the case, like you're not gonna turn down sex when that is the case for you. But for Nessa to know that that is the way that I'm gonna get you back.
Or converse, you're right, converse it. But that also weaponizing that because it's like if Drea having the seemingly high sex drive, and even at some point they talk about it had been reversed where Drea didn't have a sex drive at all, and Drea said she's getting into her 40s and like it, revved up again. But like like that's their like they just have this toxic cycle of breaking up, but not really, still fucking with each other. Nessa will go have her freedoms. Like you mentioned, and what we see pattern-wise, once Drea starts to kind of drift away, Nessa wants her back and everything, and Drea comes back. But then Drea is so codependent on Nessa from jump, where it's like she herself can't really break away because it's not even on some, I don't know their conversations. Like Nessa could have probably said very, manipulative things to get her back. But I think in some cases, she might not even had to because like Drea's just going to be game to come back to that and just like that's all she knows. Like whereas Nessa can, go off and date other people, get married as a side mission. It was like a Grand Theft Auto side mission where she just pulled over and got married to a man and didn't want to tell us until episode like 5 or whatever, and then come back to it and then them creating a family together. They had more religious trauma in terms of when they tried to get their kid baptized and they were going to this church for the longest time that they thought was inclusive. And what happens a lot, it happens to me out here in the Bay Area actually, but the pastor basically says he can't bless the baby because them niggas is gay, and kind of like compared it to his porn addiction or past porn addiction and stuff, and just the betrayal of that. But religion plays a very big hand in this relationship. There's a lot of codependency in this relationship, but they're there because Nessa wants her freedom again. They're in that cycle of her wanting freedom, but she also doesn't want to be the bad guy, which is the overarching thing. Like, she does not want to be the bad guy.
Overarching story. She's not trying to be the villain. I'm not trying to be the worst. Don't blame me. And now I have to take all this responsibility, and now I'm the problem, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
And it was exhausting because even Orna had to be like, well, there's no, good person and villain, but like, if you're initiating this, like, you kind of have to accept what comes with it. Like, obviously, like, you're the one that wants to initiate this. Like, you want to initiate this separation or this separate life, which, by the way, I felt bad for it because I was like, I know she's not explaining it correctly, that she basically wants Drea to do her own thing, because that's really kind of what this all is. But like, Nessa couldn't explain when Orna would ask her, like, kind of straight up, like, basically what she is looking to do, what she wants to do. It's just like she wanted freedom. I think she wanted to not feel so, Drea to feel so codependent, which comes off in some of the things where it's like, Orna wants Drea to take some time for herself. Like, she was like, pick a day. And Drea looks at Nessa and is like, what day can I take off? And Orna's like, no, what day do you want? Like, everything goes through Nessa. And I don't think Nessa likes that, but it's also like, Nessa, this is the world you created. Like, she was excited earlier when you're getting to know them as a couple, that like Nessa liked that she put her on and that she, did all these first and couldn't, all that. But what comes with it is like, that person is going to be closer to you in a way that you might not be ready for. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Nessa had a hand in building that codependency, but then she felt trapped by it, and she couldn't really explain why she wanted to be free and want Drea to do her own thing, because her feelings are all over the place, and she couldn't really articulate what she wants. Like, besides it being like, she just doesn't want Drea to be up under her all the time. So, so it's interesting. And then we hear about Drea's mom, and Drea's mom pretty much never hugged her, never said I love you, but did everything for her. She was there. She would iron my clothes in the morning, have my food. Even in where they lived, like, she was like, my mom lives like 15 minutes away, and I've seen her like maybe one time in whatever amount of years. Like, she doesn't have a close relationship at all with her mom, but her mom did take care of her in the providing way. So then it's like, oh, that's why.
Yes.
That's
the mommy issues.
Got it. The mommy issues. The mommy issues. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's tough when you don't have a parent that like expresses love in any affectionate way, where, you know what I mean? She was like, she never really got a hug from her mom. Like, she never really got it, because I know she's like half Italian or is full Italian. I know she said she had an Italian mother. I don't know if she's mixed, but anyway, she was just like, yeah, she didn't grow up with that kind of affection and love from her mom, but her mom took care of everything else for her, so that would fuck somebody up for sure. That would fuck somebody up for sure. So more to come with them. There's more to get into. But
yes, but if you all thought that Nessa and Drea broke up, no, they didn't. We had a brief period where Drea, in the last couple of episodes, was like, yeah, it looked like she looked so calm, cool, collected as she was saying stuff. And it was the first time that Nessa had really said feeling words, because Nessa liked to use all these big ass words to try and be like, oh, this, and this is how it's going to be. And instead, we finally broke through and got Nessa to say a feeling, multiple feelings. And Orna's like, yeah, keep going. Say it. Like, she said, look at this breakthrough finally. And Nessa finally realizing in the moment, in a way, that like she is the problem. But God, Nessa is so toxic, because every time Drea tries to be independent, Drea was like, yep, we're gonna have to figure out how to co-parent, and I'm gonna move on with my life and do whatever. And what do? They have sex and they come back. So it's just annoying.
That cycle.
In that essence, I just want Drea to be free.
But I do think it's Drea
herself.
The toxic part of Drea, though, too, that is like, I don't think, the toxic Olympics or scoreboard, because I think, Nessa bringing this all and not being able to like figure out exactly what she wants is like, there's some manipulation in that. It's some toxicity in that. But I do think, and it's like me and Shalea's discussions about Drea in this is like, her inability to like want to carve out her own identity separate from Nessa in itself is toxic too. Like that is toxic for somebody to not like, you don't want to really do shit. Like even the day she says like she might not go out at all, like, or she might just take the kids out. Like Drea is so comfortable in that shadow. So even in the instances where like Orna is like, because they had to even work up to her wanting to go do something for herself, but like Orna had to tell her like, yo, like you can't take all of this so personally, because Drea was like, why would Nessa want to do these separate things like without me? Like we're together, we're married, we're a couple. And it's like, yes, girl, but you got to live your own life. And like when they finally got her to do her own shit, Drea was so happy. And it was like, you could tell she liked doing things alone by herself, but she needed someone, because I don't know how Nessa communicated that, because I'm sure she had told her like, hey, like do your own thing, but like realizing and having that third opinion and that objective voice to be like, no, you absolutely have to carve out time for yourself. You have to find your identity within this marriage, within this partnership, with them being a parent, because like that's where I think the crux of like their problem is like, I don't think Nessa could communicate that she basically doesn't want Drea to be so codependent. And like Nessa is attracted to when Drea is doing her own thing and it is her own individual and not like kind of her shadow. Like I would be not pissed, but like annoyed if like I was with somebody that like couldn't go do something else or had other hobbies or activities. Like I've dated people who are codependent, and like, yeah, for a little bit it might be kind of cute, but like I like being alone. I like going to do things by myself. I like being with someone who has their own separate, interests from me too. So I think once Drea did start to take that seriously and it felt good, like you could tell her whole demeanor changed when she was like, yeah, I like I went out with friends on Friday. Like, it's like, yeah, like keep doing those things. But then that's attracted to Nessa, because I think ultimately, like, obviously they love each other, but Drea needed to carve out her own space and her own identity again, like separate from Nessa. But I think Nessa doesn't know how controlling and toxic, to your point, like the environment that she helped create. Like she helped create this codependency for Drea. And I don't think she communicated it correctly, that she wanted Drea to go like be independent and all that and do things by herself. So thank God for Orna, because sometimes it takes hearing from somebody else. Thank God for Orna, because yeah, when she did, I was like, ooh, Drea's ready to get out of this. New me.
Okay.
Like she sat
up. She got new frames for her glasses and was ready to go. And then they went and had sex and came back and was like,
and that's what always happens on this show too. They be coming back. It's like, oh, they had sex and like now they're fine. So, and that, that's what it, She
was like, we held each other like it was the beginning of our relationship, and the way that we hold on to the beginning of that relationship so hard. And it's like, yeah, it's hot and heavy when you're in your early 20s. Like, of course it is.
Yeah.
But now y'all got kids and y'all got stuff. Also, I added a note that I was actually really surprised that Nessa carried.
Yeah.
Well.
I think Drea said she had some complications. The way the show did that with the editing, they like ended one episode with showing Nessa with the baby bump, where I was like, y'all with that editing, ooh, like, cause you just see, cause again, like they'll do B-roll and they follow the couples, so you see the couples doing stuff. They, this is all New York based, so you see them doing different stuff, and it's just B-roll of them like living their lives, and then it's like the end of the episode they show just a picture of Nessa carrying the baby, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, so that's a dynamic there. So again, once that was there too, it was like, okay, I know. And then it comes out, I think Drea had some complications and everything, so Nessa did carry. But yeah, they had so much trauma there too. It's so hard to bring life into this world, but you could just tell, like, over the course of these 20 years of them doing this pattern and having these big things happen, it's Woo, it is a lot. It's always a lot. It's always a lot. Like that show, peel it back like an onion. Like every episode is just a little tidbit. And again, they didn't even talk about that. Like that kind of teased the next episode of them talking about, her caring and again, the religious trauma with the trying to get the kid baptized. But yeah, like it's a lot. It's a lot. Nessa might feel on some way I'm the provider. I carry the child. I like just wanting to have her own space and identity again, but like communicating that so horribly because she couldn't really communicate what she really wanted. All she wanted is like, and Drea said that every time she let Nessa go do her thing by herself, she comes back in a better mood. And then when Drea got to do her own thing, she came back in a better mood too. Like everybody has to in these you can't get lost in your relationship, is the thing. So more to come with them. What who is next? Who's next? Because it gets...
Here we go. Jason and Marjorie.
All right.
Oh, man.
Political.
They were...
Couple opposition.
They were something.
They were something.
The thing that I did appreciate about them... No, actually, get into the backstory first and then give my commentary. We got to talk
with
about
them. Jason and Marjorie, married a number of years. Let me see. They... married 11 years. Their biggest thing is political differences, which is, he's a Trump supporter. She is not at all. They have a couple kids together. She has like 2 daughters, and then they have a son together. They bicker all the time. They bickered all through the first couple episodes and everything, but that's their thing. Like they bicker all the time. And like, it's funny because like, Orna, since they were getting into like Marjorie couldn't wait to be like this nigga a Trump supporter and I have a problem with that and like them getting into politics and they were talking politics going back and forth and kind of and bickering and Orna was just like, well, hold on a second and ask them basically to like could they share what each other believes politically and they could not. Like Jason was like some women's rights like gay like he could not articulate
he was fumbling
anything. Yeah.
Fumbling
and then
stumbling.
Orna's like, okay, so y'all don't listen to each other at all. Like y'all are fighting over these things and you don't listen to each other at all, which they don't. But that was their introduction to us is them being married 11 years and very much, he's a Trump supporter and she absolutely is not. And just is like, how could you even support a man like that? Right. And have daughters and, have children and all that. So that's how they came to us with that being the surface problem is political differences, which do mean a lot now. I couldn't imagine being with someone for that number of years and then them switching and like really going down like a rabbit hole of whatever cult that they follow or belief that is like oppositional to everything I am. Like that'd be interesting because this didn't just pop up. They were married for 11 years and to see probably that slow progression. I'm sure there were signs there, but like he's hardcore Trumper and all that, and she is not. So
it's very funny because he also said to her in one of the episodes that she experiences Trump derangement syndrome, and I said, "Sir, that's you.
That's you. That's you." And I was like, "That's also your Fox News talking points. Like you are deep. You are deep in the algorithm, sir. You are very, very deep in the algorithms. Like you're regurgitating back all these things that." It's just all Fox News and like right wing misinformation. Because even the Trump derangement syndrome
that he's
like
getting off Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Off Facebook
exactly
was the thing.
So,
I think the best thing that came out of their stuff was the couple of episodes that he just was like, "Well, I've just stopped reading everything and watching the news." And I said, "Good, stay away."
As the 6 months go on, he's like, I'm not watching as much news. And like Marjorie's like, I like glad because he's moving. Like, clearly they're experiencing seeing the ICE raids over this time and him being like, yeah, that's wrong and everything. And then like it gets to, he's like, I'm not really watching the news. And Marjorie's like, I'm glad he's starting to come around, but like, is he ever going to admit he was like wrong? Because he was like, Jason still tried to do that. Like, it's not going well at all, but I'm hopeful it'll turn around with Trump. Where Marjorie's like, like, it's not. Like, it's not. But, like, are you ever going to say, like, either sorry or you were wrong and everything? And, of course, Orna had to be like, he might not. Like, it's not going to change anything if he does. Yeah. But they're, upbringings are hard as what his upbringing was very hard. He was addicted to heroin pretty early in life, like teenage years and everything. Had a rough upbringing, I think he had some abuse in his background as well.
Yeah, he had daddy issues.
Daddy issues. It was the daddy issues.
There was like dad would come in and just like beat him the fuck up.
Yeah. So he had a rough life on substance abuse issues for a number of years and starting in his teens. She has very clear mommy issues and all that, with her mom bullying her about her weight and just being people's parents, Jesus, crazy and all that. So that also spilled into their relationship. He is not fly with his mom at all, her mom at all. They are not fly at all. But he and her mom treats her son with him a little different than the daughters that she brought into this. And he notices that and rightfully is mad about that. Now, goes about wrong ways of expressing that, but then Orna also has to tell him, like, some of the slights he's perceiving are things like that he is projecting onto his son that his son might not be experiencing. Like, because he was like all about protecting his son and being like, I know his grandma's basically phony as fuck, and like not giving him the same love or the love that she should be doing and everything. But there's some things too that he takes a little too far. Like he sent I wonder what that email said, but he sent an email to her mama and everything, and it was not good. But her daughter intercepted it before the mama saw it, but the daughter was like, yeah, this is crazy. So, he overstepped his boundaries there, but their issues are not listening to each other and really getting to fighting all the time about stuff. Like they, back and forth about just everything, so
everything. Anything is an opportunity to argue with them.
Yeah. Remember when Orna, he was mad about the amount of pets they have. And he was like, it's like an animal house. We have like 6 pets. And she's like, no, we don't. And he was like, we have 3 cats and we have 3 dogs. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, what's it? Like, she's just like, yeah, we do. I was like, y'all just argue over anything. Like, y'all have, that not even just conceding that. Like, girl, that's 6. That does add up to 6. But then he wanted her to be more active with like taking care of them. But then Orna like said, gives them an assignment where he's supposed to like take a day and kind of help out. Like everybody in the family takes a day and helps out. And then they come back from the session. And he was like, he thought about it and he was basically on some like, nah, I ain't doing that. And didn't do it early on. So they were stubborn at first with some things. Orna had to be, use her training for sure with them in terms of like 100%. Trying to reach them, try to make sure that they're hearing each other, that they're talking through their feelings. But they were an interesting couple, for sure. So anything else with them before we go to, I believe it would be Shay and Clinton are next, but
I will give them their kudos though, because they did take things later on and start putting it into action. Like by the last episode, Jason was able to stop and like they got back to the politics, and Orna was like, for a bit it feels like we didn't make any progress because y'all are still not listening to each other. I was like, damn, Orna, go ahead and circle back. But they were able to, like Marjorie, you could see the progression of her stopping and recognizing she's even like in the middle of their fight. She's like, that's not what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to stop and reflect back what I'm saying, and then we're going to do this. But there are points where like Marjorie shares her issues, and there was a whole thing with like weight in the house because Jason was losing weight, and he was like, oh, well, of course I feel like a fucking asshole because I didn't fucking know that. So, and I was like, I love how this comes out. But in the last episode, all of a sudden it was like Jason put together the months together. He was like, so if I speak in a different tone and I try to articulate my feelings better, maybe we can go ahead and have a conversation that is able to get to a solution. And I'm over here like, all right, Jason.
He puts it together.
And I think that was the piece that was great with them, was seeing the aha moments. And they, I think out of all of the couples, had a lot of aha moments that they stopped and were like, here is how we can be better. And I think they did take that on the chin. I think Cat Littergate was a bit too much too soon for them.
Yeah.
But once they made progress, it was cool to see like when Marjorie would step in, or when, because that's what it was. Jason would identify areas that they could improve and how they would have those discussions. They came in and talked about different moments where it was like, yeah, it's great because we're having sex more. But then Jason's like, don't talk about us having sex. I'm just like, y'all,
Right.
I think that will always be a core part of their relationship is the bickering, because
Yeah,
there are just couples
yeah.
that do that. But to see them in just about every
Progress.
episode have that aha and move forward there was really cool to be able to see. So I
It
did
was.
appreciate watching that.
And
And her breakdown. Oh, no, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna just say what you mentioned with the weight loss too, just in case folks lost that in translation is so he's on Ozip or GLP and losing weight and working out, and she was supposed to do so as well. But they just had different paths of that. But anyways, he learns about the bullying, the bullying her mom did when she was growing up, and her mom tried to put her on like crazy diets and stuff like that. So
Weight
he had no
Watchers, like,
idea, and he's
early.
like early. So yeah, like he was, being pushy about trying to get her back on track and stuff. And so she's telling this story, about her, why that does affect her the way it does. And he like during it, as you mentioned, like he's like, oh my God, I feel like a fucking asshole. Like if I had known that, I would shut the fuck up. Like he, again, the things that couples don't share or the trauma that people bury and don't bring up and how that manifests in different ways. This one was so like one-to-one direct, but like, yeah, like, couples sometimes and people just don't communicate some of these things that are huge. Like, she mentioned being a little jealous of his weight loss, but like obviously you hear her background and how, she grew up and, the trauma from it. And it's like, of course she would feel that way, especially how he was going about it. Cause yeah, he finally realized like he should probably change his tone because he's very intense. But
Very
he could
rigid. He
express
started off
himself.
very rigid.
Yeah, he did start very rigid. Yeah, and it's always interesting. When you go back to the different seasons, there's always a man or a woman or a couple that somebody is just like so headstrong. Sometimes they'll even be like, "I don't want to continue this with you," and then like they come back season or episode 6
Right.
and like, well, But
I
yeah,
thought
there's
about
always
it.
somebody, yeah, exactly. So I couldn't fix myself, and I should come back. But there's always someone very hesitant and headstrong in the season. And he was that. But yeah, he learned like they did take in what she was saying. I remember one episode when they were leaving out, they like had the mic still going in. They were like, "She is so good, isn't she? She is great." Like blah blah blah. Like they took what she was saying really to heart, and like you could see
Yeah.
them applying it. So kudos to them. Yeah, they
Kudos to
had a
them.
good progression.
All right, let's get to this last couple. Oh no,
Whew.
where is their photo? Let's see if I can get it back. There we go. Also, this episode, the fact that they have this clip.
I
during
know,
this
I
episode.
know that clip. Oh, Shay
Oh,
and
that
Clinton.
episode was something. All right, Shane
Woo!
Clinton.
Shay
So
and
this is
Clinton.
another queer couple as well.
Yes. They are not married, but together for 4 years. Shay is a trans woman, femme presenting. Clinton is autistic, ADHD. He's there on the right there with the hat. And boy, did they have they this one was the most, oh my goodness, head scratching,
Yeah.
like woof. I think Clinton's autism and ADHD diagnosis was kind of still relatively new and for him.
Yeah, it like happened
in
at the
terms-
beginning
Yeah.
of their relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still pretty new with things. God, where do we start with them? This was a lot. This was a lot. This is a lot.
First, just understanding that dynamic of trans woman, black,
White
autistic.
trans woman.
Yeah, white trans woman, black, autistic, ADHD man. I am surprised, but also not surprised that it was such a late in life diagnosis for Clinton.
Yeah.
That just goes to show also the history of black families and not
know.
wanting to go and get diagnosed, because it is, and this is coming from my music therapy side of like the behaviors that he shows would have me lead to, yeah, something's happening over here.
Yeah.
Probably get that checked
Yeah.
out. And the way that he does act and how he works with his relationships and things like that, I'm like, that is something that you would have noticed very early on. And not just to like, oh yeah, like he's special or he's just a nerd or he's just, no, his behaviors very much based on my previous clinical work. I'm like, how was that not done earlier? So being able to have those answers later in life and having to move with that. Also, the other piece of this that's huge is that Clinton was living at home and then went from that to moving on and having Shay be there as soon as he moved out. So at no point has he not been taken care of by a woman in his life.
Yeah.
And that's also huge to talk about, like, the independence and even just being able to understand a relationship. I wish we had more details about how they started, because that seems so fascinating to me, and like a big gap that we didn't get to see. Because I'm like,
how
how did y'all get into a relationship here?
Yeah, and I know it was dating app.
Talk about much.
It was dating app, but I would think that it just wouldn't. It was such an odd pairing because of what you mentioned, like the places that they were in life. Because Shay came from a homophobic, transphobic family, so was independent pretty early, from Pennsylvania. I know that she's a model, pretty independent, making her own money and all that. And like, they met on a dating app, but I don't know how they stayed together. Or how they got together and how they stayed together for 4 years. Years. Yeah. Because it was just, like, as Clinton's recent, immediately and can observe that, he is learning. His diagnosis has helped him to put a name to, his behavior, which I don't know how to, and this is your clinical, how you help me, how you describe how his behavior is, because at times it's because it could read wrong. Like I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say like demonstrative and stuff like that, but he's very expressive with like everything. Like Orna has to like, simmer things down a couple times, and it's not like he's being like mad, but it's just like his control of his emotions, like, and how he expresses is
yes, like he gets very overstimulated in the space, like when he doesn't feel certain things. So there was pieces where he didn't feel understood, where he didn't feel heard, or he didn't have the language. And once you get to that point, a lot of times, like, for somebody who is neurotypical, there are more tools in the box to be able to help us regulate our emotions. And when it comes to somebody who's neurodivergent, that's not as easy at times. And I know that he's still working on coping skills and being able to figure out how to manage emotions in that time. I think Orna, for the information that she was dealt with, was able to handle it very well. Because based on her small group meetings and things, like that wasn't her expertise. And not all therapists have an expertise in being able to work with people with autism and neurodivergence and things like that. That's not everybody's expertise. And so I think she was able to do a really good job at helping to set the pace and get things to calm down. And it was awesome to see Clinton be able to be very receptive to that, because sometimes that can escalate very quickly and then you have to like bring it back. So it was also great to see Clinton be able to handle it. But you could just see the feeling. And she also Shay's not innocent in this. She knew how to poke the bear. At all. Yeah. Knew how to poke the bear immediately. But also, again, when Shay brought up mommy issues and talked about how her mom would sit and do all of the things, I was like, so Shay, you and your mom are the same. As much as she tried to fight being her mom, I was like, girl, what you just described
always become your parents.
Is you. It's you.
Like hypercritical, like on him, and just like cold about it too, and all that.
With receipts at all times. Because if there's one thing she was going to have was receipts.
And he was leaving them, but boy was he leaving them.
I mean, he didn't make it hard.
He did it, and that was the thing, because it was just like I could see. And when she went to go meet with Virginia, and she was like, when Orna met with Virginia, the sensei, she was like, Clinton probably needs his own space to carve out like his freedoms and stuff, because like it's kind of like he's going from his mom, who he said didn't understand him at all, to Shay, who understand him probably more than his mom, but still didn't understand him. And then he's still understanding himself. Orna also, in addition to the peer group and Virginia, she did meet with some specific therapists that worked with neurotypical people and told her, as you mentioned, like how to pace the sessions, how to ground somebody and bring them back. So you could see her using that in real time and all that. So yeah, let's get to the mess of it. Like, Clinton didn't make it easy on Shay, because Shay, yes, not, I could see it being a lot, and her being cold and really mean probably at times. But boy, Clinton,
you did not make it easy to root for you, my guy.
Clinton didn't make it easy at all. So one of the first things they bring up that she has receipts for, or just as a gripe, or, you know, one of her, you know, talking points or gripes, is that Clinton used her money inappropriately, in terms of like, he like bought, what did he buy? Did he end up buying a TV or something? He bought some huge something and didn't tell her. Yeah, like it was a couple things, but I know it was like a big electronic. I think it was a TV. It might have been a computer, but he basically misused her funds and did what he wanted with it, and then like didn't tell her. Like, she had to find this out, and like he didn't like, you know, he didn't like give it up immediately of what he did there. So she did have to have receipts for that. So she would come to this session and subsequent sessions with like basically setting the trap of like, she has the receipts. She wants him to say it, and then like he get caught. He always got caught in a lie and was like, no, I didn't. And then the receipt would receipt, and then he'd like, yeah, I did do that. And it's all Clinton. No, you can't just like do that. You can't just.
And that was the part where it was like working with a kid. Like, it was like, I'm going to stay in the lie. I'm going to stay in the lie. And then once there's no more lie to tell, it's like, okay, yeah, that was me.
Okay,
that was me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, well, Clinton, like, yo, like you know, you can't do that. Like, just tell her. Like, she would have probably bought it, you know? So.
But it's like, at that point, I'm also like, I don't think he's developed into that to be able to understand.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he has his excuses and reasonings for why he did that, and not wanting to, like, you know, he had his excuses and reasons for it. But it's just like, you're right. Like, he doesn't have the skills or the experience yet to know how to navigate that, to know that you should be asking your partner to do this stuff. You can't just use their money to, you know, whatever, because Shay was trying to help Clinton financially just kind of get things straight, you know, and then he would spend her money impulsively or without telling her and everything. So then it would set them back. And then they're in an open relationship. And this did make me laugh, because Shay was basically like, how you going to cheat on me in an open relationship? And I was like, come on, Clinton. And Clinton like fought hard. Okay. Clinton fought so hard. Like, nah, like, and, you know, or they had to tell her, you know, okay, let's, you know, we got to bring this down and everything. Like, he was going to die with the lie. He's like, I'm not, like, she going to my phone, all this other stuff, and she's like, I have the receipts. Like, again, she had the receipts, so she would come to these sessions ready with the receipts, knowing, like, setting the trap, knowing he about to
battle.
Man, and he fell for it each time, hook, line, and sinker. And then each time, like, you could see again the flashes of like how like it could be in the house in terms of her being cold or mean or detrimental or controlling or whatever, but then it'd be like, well, goddamn, Clinton. And then he did, like, and then he see the receipt would be receipting. You want to see the phone? And then he's like,
here it is. He's like, oh,
okay, yeah.
Well,
yeah, I did that.
You don't know that it was the Uber one. The Uber one got me.
One was
like,
so
well, you sent somebody to my house and then you sent them home. And he was like, you don't know, I could have just been in the area. I'm like, nigga.
Yeah. Nigga. She's like 2 a.m. You know, it's like, and then he had to just be like,
said that out loud when he tried to use that argument. I literally looked at him and said, nigga. Don't.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I was like, oh, Clinton. And it was a couple of those. Like, it was at least 3 instances of that in these seats. You know, again, the finances where he fought, where he's like, nah. And then the cheating again. And that was her thing, is like, we have an open relationship. Just tell me. Like, we're supposed to be communicating this. And like, he'd fought not to, whatever that little discord he had. That was the third thing. It came up again where it's just like, he was cheating and not telling her about the people he was cheating with. And she had receipts. Like, he was a sloppy cheat. So she knew. So she would catch him in that. So my gosh, like, it was just like, oh, Clinton, like, I don't even understand how they got together. Like, I don't. Like, I could see them being friends for a while, him maybe growing out of this and having his experiences. But like, yeah, I was like on some things of like, in the same way with like the Nessa thing where it's like what you allow. Like, I kind of think that with Shay, like, why would you why would you be with someone like this? Like, is there some saviorism type of thing in this? Are you trying to play, hero ball with trying to like get him shade, which some of that is. And I know there's probably some love there, but my God, they were at such opposite places in their lives. And on top of that, if you're going to do all that and you cheating in an open relationship is crazy. Like, just even saying that is crazy. Like, and he was like, she opened it up, and she was like, but you're supposed to like, we
and
have
they started open.
What?
It wasn't even like you had to open. It started
yeah.
open. So it's not like she opened it up. That was from the beginning, my guys. So that was the part that got me.
Yeah, like why would you want to be secretive about that? But I know he wanted to keep this a secret because of how she does react and how she did. We saw how she got. We only can imagine how she gives it up in the house, kind of thing. So I know he's probably a lot of that was like he didn't want to upset her and he didn't want to go through these arguments and how how on top of everything she knew everything. She had receipts for every one of these things. It wasn't just her, saying this and them going back and forth. She literally had receipts for each and every one of like the digital footprint, my guy, Clinton. Like, come on. Like, so you knew that one was headed where it was headed with those two. So then by the end, the later episodes, it was basically how they would be friends after this and like kind of like a debrief of the relationship because it was clear it wasn't going to be able to continue. And certainly with Clinton still actively like kind of lying and doing his own thing to the very end. The later episodes were kind of dead and they had separate sessions too with Orna. But the later episodes for them were, about basically debriefing on this.
Yeah.
So
like,
yeah,
I'm glad that they did agree to have kind of like sessions that would help them make this a bit more amicable because if it had left off at the session that they did break up, whew, and the session after that, that was some hot sessions. A lot of Orna earned her money that day for real. And so I'm glad that they were able to have some more sessions that calmed them down. And like, yes, you could see the grief in their faces to say that like they were very sad, but it seemed like in each situation that they recorded them in after that, they seemed so much happier independently. And so I feel like they had this idea of what life could be like together. Like even Clinton at the end being like, I wanted to marry you. I was like, I don't know if that was a thought or an expectation that you had, and I was just like, it's okay. I think it's good that you're moving on. I think it's good that you're finally building community. I'm glad that they ended and that they were able to do it in a softer way.
Yes. So I wanted to tell you what happened after because I don't have updates for all of them, but I did want to share with you that Clinton, after the show, transitioned and now goes by Mauve Genesis. So Clinton transitioned after the show. And this came out after the show aired because when I was like looking up like what else is going on with people or just after the show, it was like Shay and Clinton were such a big topic in addition to, Nessa and Drea. But now identifies as a transgender woman, Mauve Genesis, and she uses she, her pronouns. So that happened afterwards. So then that also colors like what we saw in the show where it's like Mauve was going through a lot of changes and she should be alone until she works out those changes not works out those changes, but you know what I mean, like basically Mauve probably needed to be independent for a while because she did go from living with her mom to then living with Shay and all that. So I don't know what Mauve Genesis is doing now, but good to be alone, good to be independent and learn more about yourself. But that happened after the show. I was like, okay, this that's a couples therapy first. But I was also like, okay, not the most surprising thing to happen from this couple because Mauve was probably in that second adolescence, second adolescence, with finding out about herself being neurotypical, being trans woman now and being Mauve, and also dealing, with being independent and living alone, because that's its own thing in itself. So yes, that is neurodivergent. So it's a lot.
Wow.
But they ended up being breaking up. So it's
not
Shay
what
and
I
Mauve.
expected you to say. Not what I expected you to say.
Yeah.
So, wow. Breaking news to me. And it's like, I can see why, and also, okay.
Yeah,
wow,
you're reacting a lot. What's funny is, like, again, after the season,
I did not know this information prior to us talking about this.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, Mauve. Also, Mauve Genesis.
Okay, Mauve.
That's
Mauve Genesis
a name.
is a good,
okay,
cool name.
You better be picking some names first off, okay? Yeah. But okay. Yeah. It was time. Because can you imagine if Shay had to guide Mauve through the transition? Like, that would have just, I feel like, buried even more of things that would happen, and that's something that, like, Mauve needed to do herself. So wow.
So that's how they ended up separate. Shay and Mauve did break up. The other couples, like Jason and Marjorie, they ended up still together at the end of it. And again, we mentioned applying what Orna taught them, and seemingly so they were fine. If you wanted to scroll up to Nessa and Dre, I guess we'll button them up, and then Sienna and Chris up, and then we can end there. But Shay and Mauve, again, separate lives. Dre and Nessa's next here. So
we have we got Jason and Marjorie. So yep, Trey and Nessa. What?
Yeah. What? They are together as of now. I didn't see anything differently. But yeah, that time away. Listen, independent Drea, catnip to Nessa. Okay, like, she's like, whoa, you're gonna be going out. You're gonna be like it from that on. Like, it seemed like they figured it out in that way. They were having sex again, clearly.
Right. I was like, so all we had to do was get out of the house independently.
Sometimes you do. And that's the thing, is like how they landed. I'm glad they landed with this. I know it was frustrating, with Nessa and feelings, and some people being like, Nessa taking Drea through all that. But to cut Nessa some slack, first off, you should go to therapy to handle this. Like, that's what this show is for. Yeah. So I'm glad it did work out for them. But also, like, I'm not sure Nessa could communicate to Drea, or that Drea would take Nessa's communication to, again, carve out your own life, carve out your own kind of identity within this, do separate things. Because again, like, early in this, season, Drea was like, why would I want to, not why would I want to do separate things, but like, I'm married to this person. I want to do things with this person. We're married. We have kids. Like, and there's a lot of people who are like that. Like, I chose this life. Like, this is, like, why would I want to be separate? But by the end, and when she experienced going out and the freedoms of it, and not even just going out, she even just like writing, taking time to go write, taking time to just herself. Like, she likes that. And you could see her coming more and more to life as the season ended. You could see Nessa's love for her growing as the season ended. So really, it all really came down to that, like, of somebody having to communicate that to both of them, of like, Nessa, figure the fuck out what this is, because this like push-pull of freedom, like, what makes that attractive to you, that like Drea pulling away makes you want to pull her back? Because, like, what the fuck? But also for Drea, like, again, carve out your own life within this partnership, within this parenthood. Like, it is so important for you to do that, because she hadn't at that point. She, again, the childhood upbringing, getting with Nessa and all that, and like being codependent, like, she didn't really have like a separate life, so they were able to get there with that. It's frustrating, because it's like, oh, why do you take her during that? But this is what you're supposed to go to therapy for. Like, this is the hopeful outcome that seemed healthy. So what are your last words on Drea and Nessa and how they ended?
Drea girl, be yourself, bitch. That's all I can say. I was like, Nessa triggered me so much throughout the whole thing that I have no kind words for her.
That's so funny.
I have none. I have none. The way that she speaks, the way that she did, it was personal for me that I was just like, not me wanting to fight you. But
that's so
Drea,
funny.
I root for your independence, even if it's within the relationship. Like, you deserve to be your own person, and you deserve to be happy in that. And you have to be able to find your own joy and not have Nessa be your source. So I'm rooting for Drea and her independent life and things that she can build in that, so that they can continue to be happy and wonderful. Because I did see the glimmers of how they were and how great it could be and all of those things. But also, Nessa triggered the fuck out of me this season. So I'm just only speaking to Drea here.
There was one.
And that's on me. That's on me.
No, it's not, because there was things that Nessa said where like, Nessa, you can't say that. Like, it was like one session she had said like, Drea worships the ground I walk on, and I'm like, I bitch, like, you couldn't say that around, like, even if true, which is crazy, I wouldn't say that out loud. Like, that's kind of crazy, but she knew that, like, again, she knew how Drea was about this, and I do wonder how Nessa was communicating this to Drea, because if they were able to communicate this correctly, maybe they don't even have to go to therapy at all, like where they land. And that might have been the frustrating thing too, to a lot of people, of like, Nessa, this is such a roundabout way of being like, you just want some more space and you want her to go do her and, have her independence. But I'm not confident Nessa could communicate that. And judging on the beginning of the season, I'm not sure Drea would have taken that in without taking it personally. So they landed in a good place, and Drea just, the glow up once she started to be independent and like love that, and like, like having time to herself was great to see. So hopefully they're still good. But yeah, Nessa said a couple things where it's just like, girl, and the omission of very key details where it's like, bitch, this is
details in every story she told. I was like, I can't believe you. I can't believe any of your stories, because all I was doing was looking at Drea to be like, when are you tapping in? When are you tapping in?
I know.
When is it incorrect? And she stopped, and she would just be like, I think there are key points being left out of this. And I said, please elaborate. Please elaborate.
Do tell. Time. Yeah. That one family reunion trip that they went on where I guess Nessa hadn't worn her wedding ring in over a year, and Drea was like, she put it on to be around her family. Draft the papers. I would be so pissed. Like, there was things that Nessa did again that was so performative, so just like annoying, like, so manipulative. I can't. That. And I was like, but
triggered.
Oh yeah.
The entire
Nessa
time.
didn't make it easy. Nessa was a very diet mauve in some ways of like, like, what, you're not really giving it up all the way. Like, you're not being truthful to yourself and just out, whatever. So, but good for them. I'm glad they landed where they landed.
Somewhere,
They landed somewhere. I think they're fine.
They landed somewhere. To Sienna and Chris.
Yeah. And this was another glow up. I was glad we kind of talked about it when we were last talking about them, but I liked Sienna coming out of her shell and realizing some things, reading some books. I remember one session she was like, basically him either kind of unknowingly putting her in the angry black woman, page of things. Like, it was like you could tell Sienna taking in things as the seasons and sessions went on, and she came out of her shell and, very, very much advocating for herself and her happiness and how things are going to go on, for now on. And that he, though having all that trauma, needs to understand she's coming from a lot of trauma too. And, better supporting her, so fully supporting every parts of her and all that. So, and I think, again, there were so many things that she buried about herself that were coming out in the later sessions, and she's able to really advocate for herself.
All the above. Well, that is everyone. That's
everybody.
Was on season 5, couples therapy. What a journey. That was my first time watching any of the couples therapy seasons. So to come in on this, I feel like I really I dove into the deep end on it.
You did, but you got to go back. You got to go back to the other seasons. I would love to go back to other seasons and recap. I
was like, every
season is some.
It's going to be filled. It's going to be filled with notes.
But the beauty of the show, and you know, just to close, what I love about it too is just like how it's shot, the care that's given to it. But there's really art insights. It is very much like voyeurism with like therapy, where it's just like, yeah, you work out these things, you see yourself reflected in some things. There's so many great conversations, you know, had with your partner or just even friends. A couple of my friends watch it, where it's just like, yeah, like it's just so interesting how much our childhood shapes us, how much we don't tell our significant others or ourselves, and how much of ourselves we kind of bury in a relationship because, you know, it just happens. So, and it's such different relationships. People who are married, you know, decades. People together for 4 years, like a Shay and Mav. But, whew, this life is something. A lot of feelings, a lot of experiences, and all that. So, it's a good show.
I agree with you. I appreciated the care, and also the things that Orna does are things that other therapists do. They do meet with groups to make sure that they are holding the standards and supporting their clients in the way that they need to. Having, you know, your sensei person is also a thing that happens in therapy. And even her being able to stop and like the questions that she asked, how she reflected on everything, like those are all things that do happen in couples therapy. And I appreciated that throughout the season, they would break down, here is what couples therapy is supposed to do. And it like broke a lot of tropes of, oh yeah, like if you're supposed to be marrying a person who has the same political beliefs as you, or do this, like really, here is what you are doing in a relationship. And I think those reminders throughout the season were necessary and very helpful. It was really great to be able to see it because those are real things. I can only imagine the person who had to edit through all of that content. Shout out to you. Okay, shout out to the people who had to go through and sit, because those are like hour-long sessions, maybe longer. I don't know. And you have to sit through all of that. You're going through every week. We're putting it in 9 30-minute episodes.
Yeah.
Of all 4 couples.
Yeah.
So you're finding brief moments to tell a story. My gosh, shout out to the editing team that had to put this all together.
Great editing on Showtime.
Okay. Shout out to y'all
editing.
for finding the key moments, but also showing the couple's journeys throughout and seeing how, like, when they first started, how rigid it is. And honestly, recognizing that therapy is a journey. It takes time.
It's a journey.
Because you are unlearning habits that are ingrained in you, especially as older adults. Those things are ingrained deep, and it just goes to show how much the inner trap, man, I still laugh when Jason and Marjorie were like, yo, inner child. And it's like the clip where the black guys, I forget which, it was a bunch of black guys who were like, did you know that there's like a little you inside you and you have to address it? And that was like what Jason and Marjorie went through, was figuring that out. So it was really cool to be able to see all of that. And then for the show to be reminders of, this is real therapy. And here's how real therapy goes. So I loved it. I did.
Different results, different outcomes. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very well produced show, you know, and very helpful. Again, very insightful. I love the B-roll of it, and I also like the themes of, you know, when she's narrating certain things at the beginning that are kind of like, there's an episode, you know, where she's kind of talking about moms and parents, but just like childhood in general. But they'll do the B-roll of the other, you know, New Yorkers they see and everything. So it's just like the full package of the show is great, and just great editing, great everything.
Yes.
All the above. Very much so. Worth the watch if y'all haven't watched it. Very informative. You don't have to be in a relationship to get stuff from this. There's so much to learn from it, and just even how to handle things. Even watching Orna, how she handles certain situations that are a little bit difficult or heated, and
the patience of a saint.
It does.
You know
what I mean? Like she doesn't.
That she did her little subtle things, and I was like, Orna, I see how you looking. I see it.
Yeah.
But you're not giving nothing away, and I appreciate that. And also when she would hold, the other thing that I appreciate, because I feel like people just think like you're going to go in and talk to a therapist and get them to like take your side or do things.
Yeah. She will not.
Orna did a masterclass in accountability for each of the couples. She would point out the patterns and point out the trends incredibly well. Again, Jason and Marjorie, they just always stick out to me because, again, they had the aha moments where she would stop and say like, okay, Marjorie did something similar to what Jason did, and Jason is eating her up about it, and she'd stop and be like, wait, Jason, you're getting upset at her, but a few sessions ago you did the same thing, so remember that, and let's adjust it to the way that you would have wanted it to be handled. And I'm like, yes, Orna, accountability and action. I love it. I loved seeing that piece too. So
yeah,
just
and how she doesn't like
her.
sometimes tell you what to think. She's not telling you what you should think in this. She was like, there are no rules. Like Drea was like, what, you know, in their harder episodes of like when it did look like they were going to break up, because I did not think they were going to make it. I thought that Nessa was going to use therapy to basically like not be the bad guy and kind of ease into breaking up. But the harder episodes, like, you know, Drea was like, what happens next, or what are we, like, how should I feel about it? And, you know, her being like, there's no rules. Like, I can't tell you how to feel about this, but also telling, like, you know, Anessa, and just also reminding the other partner of like letting that their significant other like feel what they feel. Like, it's like a couple times she had to tell Nessa, like, enough, like, let her feel what she feels. She's okay to feel that way. Like, it's okay. Like, it is what it is. Like, so I do like that she holds people accountable, and she could point to very specific patterns and situations of like, do you now see where your partner's coming from? Because you do similar things, but also in other cases being like, I can't tell you how to feel about this, and there's no right or wrong with this, and there's no whatever. It's just, you know, so just a great show. Y'all watch it if y'all haven't. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, but this is great content and very helpful, and hopefully it helps somebody if y'all haven't checked it out, but certainly entertaining. And I'm going to try and get Shayna to watch the past other seasons, because my goodness, so much more to show you. And there's so many, you know, other dynamics in each season. So that's why it's kind of great. So many different dynamics. So thank y'all for taking this journey with us. This special episode, our recap episodes, TV that we do. You know, we'll see what we do next, but Couples Therapy season 5 was definitely one to watch, and it was great. It was great.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
We love to see it. Well, thank y'all for tuning in for this week's bonus. I don't know if this is really a bonus. Just like, you know, extra episode where we could sit and nerd out on things that we like to watch and stuff.
It's a sparkly, different episode. Yeah. I don't know what we call this. Yeah, it's not really bonus. It's like, I don't know.
Like extra? Well, bonus is the same as extra.
Special.
We'll figure it out.
We should say special. Special episode. Special episode. Special.
That's it. Special.
There's a word.
So yeah.
So
that's what we did, and thanks y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Talk about things, and I'm sorry that I'm